All right. Welcome once again to another episode of the Napoleon and Gueco podcast.
What's up, people?
Or
That's it.
what's
That's all I got to say.
down, right?
Well, we know what's down. We know.
I don't know what's down. What is down?
If you look down, you'll, yeah, you know what's there.
Yeah, the ground.
Your junk,
Oh, that.
your own personal.
Okay. Well, now I know what you're talking about.
That's why
That
I
was
say
an
what's up. That's
That
why
was
I
an
say
interesting way to open up this episode.
what's up. Yeah. What's been going on?
Well, I recently got done watching the Olympics, and I gotta say that Team USA tied with China for the most gold medals because ever since, I think, Beijing in 2008, it's always been a battle in the Summer Olympics for USA and China for the most gold medals. The US always gets like the most total medals, but they always battle for golds because there's certain events like diving, table tennis, synchronized swimming, something like that, and then like
Yeah.
the rhythmic gymnastics where they like twirl a ribbon and they're like, oh, that's beautiful. I don't know why those are Olympic sports. There are things like those where it's automatically pre-decided, where you just know it that they will win the gold medals in those events. But then there's
Yeah.
certain events that Team USA is good at, but then they will fall short. It's kind of like Simone Biles dominates in the floor routine, the floor events at the women's gymnastics. And what ended up happening when they did the individual all around, the individual event for floor exercises, she goes out of bounds not once, but twice,
Oh yeah.
and then loses to her main rival, this Brazilian gymnast, by not like a few tenths of a point, but 0.033 points. That is 33 hundredths of a point she loses.
Yeah.
And if she had not gone out of bounds twice, she would have won a gold medal that night, and Team USA would have led in gold medals this Olympics. But
Wow.
looks like it's up to LA 28 to decide who wins that rivalry. US
Wow.
has the advantage. It's
Yeah.
their home country. It's theirs to lose. If they don't get the gold medals, they blow it. But on a more positive note, they definitely dominated in track and field. Like, so many of the gold medals they won were from those events. The running, the like shot put. There's so many events where like a lot of our athletes, they won a lot of those races, even though they may have not always been the favorite to win it. They still won a lot of those events. And in fact, they said this was one of the best track and fields that Team USA has had in a lot of the recent Summer Olympics. So they definitely overperformed there, but that kind of made up for them underperforming in other events. Like, they still performed very well in gymnastics overall, but like swimming, they underperformed there. And I know a lot of us got spoiled with Michael Phelps in previous Olympics, who kept racking up our medal count and getting on the podium. But he retired, and there was a lot of US swimmers who were good, but there are all these Australian swimmers that apparently had been watching our athletes, and they're like, we're going to be faster than you. Sure enough, they were. And this swimming was pretty much a battle between the US and Australia for gold medals. It's almost like Australia has our number when it comes to swimming
Swimming.
and the Olympics. So it'll definitely be interesting to watch in LA 28. And they are actually going to use SoFi Stadium, which is home to the Los Angeles Rams and the Los Angeles Chargers in the NFL. They're going to use SoFi Stadium to do swimming in the next Olympics. I don't know how they're going to add a pool in there, but it'll be
They can do
interesting
it.
to see how that goes. But
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
were so many other events, though, not just the gymnastics with Simone Biles. I mean, obviously, she did great, as always, but there were plenty of other swimming events where maybe some of our athletes came like, 1/10 or maybe a few hundredths of a second from
Yeah.
getting the top of the podium. If we had won just any of those events where we came this close to winning, we would have won the most gold medals. That's what makes me mad right there.
But also, you got to think of it like, okay, the other team got those little tiny little points, that they're thinking, we won by a little bit, but they don't think that. They think we're better. We're better than them, you know. So it's
Well,
crazy how like that tenth of a second or whatever makes the difference between, oh, you're not good enough or something like that. It's crazy.
it's crazy. And there were two track and field events where they were decided by not tenths, not hundredths, but thousandths of a second. There were some that were
Yeah.
decided by like 5 or 7 thousandths of a
Well,
second, where it was an
yeah.
actual photo finish where they maybe had a prediction who won, but they had to go to the booth because it was that close and they had to
Yeah.
review the
With, like,
events to
Different
see,
camera angles
okay,
and stuff.
who won it.
Yeah.
But definitely, it was very exciting to watch, very close. Hopefully, Team USA does better in swimming. And
Well,
what is it,
their hometown,
2028?
it's going to be a lot easier for them to get that one medal that they need.
If it's in your
Home
country,
turf.
that's like a football team having home field advantage. It doesn't mean they'll win, but the odds of them winning are higher. And that's partially
Yeah.
how China was able to top us in gold medals in the 2008 Olympics, because where were they? Beijing.
Yeah. Yeah. And did you hear about the whole breakdancing controversy?
Absolutely. In fact, I
It was
kind
so
of thought
funny.
that was fun to watch because I myself like to get out on the dance floor. I could do nothing like
Oh,
what those people
okay.
did,
All right.
but I could definitely bust a move or at least try. Maybe not the best, but you'll see me moving around. They'll be like, okay, that's like no cheap party dance that he's doing. So it is definitely interesting. Now, should it be an Olympic sport? Like, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like table tennis. Sure, those people are very good at table tennis. They would beat me like that if they were playing me. But for them to get a medal compared to like what other athletes do, people who train like to run or to do
Yeah.
like, the long jump or to do the swimming, gymnastics, boxing, things that you really have to train for, that you got to have a lot of physical strength to do.
Yeah.
And then like people like table tennis or
Or like
archery,
just the shooting,
break
archery.
dancing, they get a medal. I mean, no doubt are these people talented. I see plenty of dancers in Las Vegas doing the same thing, and I'm like, oh wow. But I don't know if it's worth them getting the same medal that these other powerful athletes are getting.
Yeah,
But it
probably
was
the size of the medal should be significant to how much exercise or how much physical
yeah,
exertion is required.
it's definitely not a bad
Big ass
idea.
medal for the swimmer, tiny one for the ping pong guy.
I don't know how well that'd go over, but
Oh, ping pong can get pretty heated, man. Like it's not.
oh
It's not
no,
an easy treat.
that's why I still will like to watch it just to see how serious some of those players get. But I kind of
those
get a
guys
laugh
are
out of it.
nuts, yeah.
So for me, it's like more comedy than it
Yeah.
is. But I know
But
for
that
them it is.
breakdancing stuff, what happened was this one athlete from Australia, I believe, she did her dance at the closing ceremonies. I think it's like at the end of the basically of the Olympics, and she was just bad. There's no really easy way to put it or explain it. She's just bad
Oh
and kind
man,
of funny. And then so people will start getting online like, oh, how can she be an Olympic, team, an Olympic athlete? And so is she trolling us? Like people think that she was trolling. Others were saying that she got her way into because they have a selection process to see who goes to the Olympics in Australia. And
okay,
basically she got through the rounds of qualification.
okay,
And people were saying that she didn't, like online and stuff, drama, Twitter, whatever. They were saying that she wasn't really qualified, that she had basically nepotism or something, like where her husband was part of the committee to see who gets to go to the Olympics. But it turned out that he really wasn't part of the committee, but there were other reasons to believe that she had some kind of help from the committee or something like that. Her husband is the coach. She's like 36. But anyways, like you have to see the performance. It's just bad. And
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. But the controversy is that she didn't really deserve to be there. And then she came out with an apology video, but basically, playing the victim and saying, oh, I'm getting so much hate. It's like, and people are like, no, it's not hate. We're just criticizing your performance, that kind of thing. So it's pretty funny. You should check it out, see what's going on with that. More recent than the other kind of stories. It's like the funny thing is like I don't hear much as easily about the things that you're telling me, the important things of who won more medals, who got the golds and all this, and kind of the different sports. You get to hear the headline, catch a view, catch a like kind of story, about this performance. But it's pretty hilarious. So you gotta watch the video of
Oh
it.
yeah. I mean, this wasn't really something that you really see when you're watching the Olympics. And of course,
Right,
they really
right.
would not portray her in the way that you're talking about, but I haven't actually seen the performance. I just kind of watch parts of the breakdancing here and there. I mean, some of them
Yeah,
are talented, but then also some like the dancer you talked about. It was just funny. The commentators making it like, so serious about it. And it's like,
right,
okay,
right.
kind of
Yeah,
like the rhythmic gymnastics. Okay, like,
yeah.
but it was more interesting to watch than the rhythmic gymnastics. But I definitely want to check out this Australian breakdancer because there actually is a comedian that I follow. And I think he's based out of Los Angeles, but he does come to Las Vegas quite a few times. His name is Adam Hunter. Very funny. I went to see him twice. He's hilarious the whole time. And he did a whole set on that Australian breakdancer.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's kind of where I got an idea of them, but he was basically saying, oh, they were pretty bad. And I was like, well, some of them didn't look super talented, but at the same time, it's like, oh, still more than I could do. But it sounds like this was
Oh, she
one
was bad. She was
probably
bad.
compared to the other break dancers, which, okay, maybe they didn't have like these slick moves, but like, sounds like compared to them, this one was like, what are they doing up here?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I definitely want to check them out, but that kind of reminds me of in the Tokyo Olympics, there was that equestrian, which they do. I don't know if you've seen it. It's where they have
Like the
somebody,
horses.
yeah, they ride a horse and they got to go over all these like fences and stuff. They got to
Yep,
jump over. It's like a little obstacle course where they got to lead
yep.
the horse over there. And depending on like how well the horse does, if they don't knock
It's,
anything over, whatever, hey, you
it's the
get a high
waspiest
score.
of the Olympic sports, I guess.
It's what?
It's the waspiest of the Olympic sports.
Waspy?
Yeah. Like high end, people with money kind of sport and
Oh,
status.
right.
And yeah.
If they have horses, sure, they probably have to have money.
Well,
But
and not only that, but like the stature, if you're great at that, it's like you're probably the son of some billionaire or something.
oh,
That's the kind of people that do that kind of stuff. Yeah.
at least the one who invented it probably was a billionaire. But what was funny to me was this German in the equestrian who was leading, who was the favorite to like win the gold medal. And she went out, she was all ready, and then she got her horse to jump over like the first fence and it accidentally like knocked over a couple of poles.
Oh,
And after that, the horse was just like, no, forget it. I'm not doing this. And it just started walking around, wandering around. And she
oh,
kept
really?
trying to get it back on the course. And it was just kind of doing other stuff. It was just
And then she
like,
can't
no.
really she can't really abuse the
It's
horse in
like,
today's
the
day
horse
and
was like,
age.
you're
So
not telling me
not
what to
like back
do
in the day,
here.
you could
And
beat the
it's like,
shit out
she
of
just
it.
started like crying and stuff right there in front of the
She started
camera.
crying.
Yeah, and then it's like she kept trying to get the horse to do stuff, and it was just kind of like wandering around, like, yeah, you da da da, and then like just like had the bell ring, then the horse was like, oh, my time's up, and then just went back to the front.
It's like you wanted to eat a carrot and stuff, like just wander
Yeah, it was
around.
just, but that was just hilarious. Is that look, it's a horrible story for the athletes because
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
feel sorry for people that train for years and years for that one event and their moment of fame just gets like cut by like something small. But at
No,
the
it's
same
not small though. It's like, okay, you see it as a small thing, and I do too. I get what you're saying in terms of
right,
small.
we're just
But the
something
thing is,
like
like, it's like we were talking about the other episode. Is you're messing with nature. Nature is gonna mess with you.
right. No,
It's an animal.
there's really no telling what all she put that horse through. You don't know, and that's probably played a part in the horse just kind of doing its own thing. But
Hey,
for
that
me,
horse had enough. That horse had
exactly.
enough.
It's stuff like that, though. I don't like watching, say, a gymnast get hurt or something like that. But,
Yeah.
like, in
No, yeah,
events
yeah.
like
Nobody
this,
does,
like
yeah.
the equestrian, like,
Yeah,
nobody
that was
really
funny.
got hurt. It was just funny to watch because there was, like, a malfunction that you
Yeah.
weren't
Well, the girl
supposed
got hurt on national TV.
Well, emotionally, not
Well,
physically.
international TV. Yeah. No,
Right.
of course, yeah.
Little malfunctions like that
Yeah.
that aren't supposed to happen, that you're not supposed to expect in the Olympics. I just think that's funny.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with like talent shows like American Idol or The X Factor
Yeah.
or America's Got Talent, where it's just things don't really go right, or somebody gets on and sings and they just sound horrible. I just think that's hilarious. In fact, I would love to start a talent show where we get like a bunch of those bad singers you see on American Idol auditions,
Yeah.
and we put
Compete with
them
each other?
on the show.
Compete-
Yeah, we let
Who's
them
the best of
compete
the
with
worst?
each other.
The best of the worst. That's a good name.
Or it could be the worst of the worst. You don't know.
Worst
Because
of
that's
the
who we're looking for. You could just be bad and
Yeah.
just like not hold a tune, but be boring and be like, okay, whatever. But then I'll see performances where they have someone, they're going around like they're horrible at singing, but they're also entertaining at the same time. And
Yeah.
they make you laugh. That's who I want to see.
I see. Yeah. The funny rejects.
Exactly. What I really think is funny is that you'll have some of these really bad auditions I'm talking about where the person's just like, and but at the same time, the judges will be like, okay, I'm sorry, it's a no. We're not letting you go to Hollywood. It's like back when Simon was on the show, he'd throw out insults he
Right.
probably couldn't even get away with today. Like, you are the worst person I have heard on this earth, or you are the
Yeah.
worst singer on the planet.
Yeah.
Some of them could take the criticism, be like, okay, I'll come back next year, I'll practice more, but it's usually those who I'm talking about, the worst of the worst. It almost seems like they sound just like horrible and worse than everyone else, but they think they sound really good.
Yeah. That's the
what was
funniest
also-
ones. Those are the funniest ones. The ones that actually think they're
That's
awesome.
who I would want to let on my
Yeah.
talent show, because you let them on and we'll choose these like really good songs for them, like maybe Unchained Melody or Bohemian Rhapsody, things that are considered cult classics that are like songs that only the best of the best will try to sing.
Yeah.
And then they try to cover those, or just things that
And they
you
just have
try
a
to sing
gong.
that definitely
On-
you try to make them do that song, it's not going to match, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know how long the show would last or if the people would eventually catch on to it, but that's kind of what I think, because, you know,
That'd be
growing
fun.
up, I loved to watch the good singers on American Idol and some of their talent, and I still follow a few of them today, but eventually after like a few years of that, it just kind of gets boring. Like, sure, you can
Yeah.
acknowledge, all right, they're better at singing than I am, but you just kind of get bored because a lot of times they're doing kind of the
It's
same
just people with
songs over
talent.
and
Like,
over.
you can
Right.
just
They're
turn
talented,
Shakira
but
on
like
and you got it.
eventually as it goes on, you just kind of see people singing the same songs over and over. Most of them are just smash hits, popular songs over the years, and some are probably modern day popular songs that you hear everywhere you go.
Yeah.
I'm not really
it's just
into
a karaoke show kind of thing. Becomes a very well put together karaoke show.
it
with
really
the
does,
best of
and
the
that's why I think, you know, we talk about comedy and stuff. This would be a great mix of talent and comedy right there.
I think the world needs a Zoom type like what we're doing right now, game show. You know, a game
Absolutely.
show where it's everybody's on their own camera.
I think we could pull off something like that.
That'd
definitely.
be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I did start a Twitch account, but I was using Twitch Studio, and I think that they're discontinuing it because not many people were using Twitch Studio. Almost everybody was using OBS, so I got to get
Right.
more familiar with that. But I do know people who do Twitch game shows, and Twitch even provides like
Some tools and stuff.
yeah, they kind of provide these little blueprints and stuff to where you can make a quiz show. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely possible.
I think I know what you're talking about.
But I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe sometime we'll have a special Napoleon and Gueco game show where we read questions or we do something. And
Yeah,
then maybe
some kind of
we can
thing, some
hand
kind
out.
of trivia,
Yeah,
like dare, you know, kiss or dare or something. We'll have people catch their kitchen on fire behind the camera for
Oh.
our entertainment and that of our
Yes.
viewers.
while they're drunk.
Well, yeah, it helps. It helps to play the game. If you're
Yeah, almost feels
intoxicated.
like a game of Would You Rather.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, would you rather?
Would you rather get drunk and catch your kitchen on fire, or stay sober and be bored all night?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you'll have
Yeah.
less of a mess if you stay
We
sober.
got a clock. Toot, 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 you know, countdown.
Oh.
You got to make a decision.
Yeah.
We got a buzzer. Yeah, we'll get the buzzer. I'll get the buzzer.
I will admit that I am having certain aspects of a midlife crisis because I think about, man, I'm not getting any younger, and there are certain things I wish I had done in my younger years, or maybe more things that I wish I had invested my time in when I was
Right.
in my early 20s. Like, instead of going to college, I could have spent it doing other stuff
For
because my
sure.
degree hadn't really done as much as all those professors made it sound like it would. One thing that I
Mm.
seem to be immune to is relationships. Like, I've been single my whole life, and everybody tries to intimidate me or gaslight me and to like start dating or get on Tinder or one of those dating apps and say like, "Oh, you can't be like this. Your time's running out." And I mean, they're not wrong, but it's like they say, "If you stay single, you will be alone forever." And I'm like, "Okay, what's your
Yeah.
point?"
Yeah.
That's the whole
Yeah, I
thing.
mean they make it seem like you're doing something wrong, and they don't even dare to ask, "Hey, do you like being single? Do you want to meet someone?"
Yeah,
Because like that, I get the same thing. I'm a single guy as well, and of
right.
course, there's that kind of, you meet someone, they like you for not like a date or something, just like a business person or something, and they kind of like you or whatever. They're like kind of inquisitive, and they're like, "Hey, so you married or what's going on?" I'm like, "No, like, oh, you got a girlfriend?" No. And then they're like, "So you're just single?" I'm like, "Yeah, like just like Jesus Christ, single." So no, just but
Right.
it's like they think that that matters to me. They kind of assume that it matters to me and that there's something wrong. You know, and you know, I date or have dated, of course, but I always prefer to go home by myself. Like I really enjoy, after hanging out with friends or hanging out with a chick or with my family or whoever, like after a day out or a night out, I'd like to go and to be by myself. Now, of course, if someone wants to come over, stay the night, a few nights, it's totally
Exactly.
fine.
Yeah,
But at some point, you got your place, I got my place. So you know how that goes in the dating market, like that
it
kind of
does.
attitude.
That's one thing I would always get worried about is that, okay, I'm not 100% opposed to going on a date, and the least I wouldn't mind just doing it just for the heck of it. Why not? Like, it's a first date. What could go wrong? Or if it does go wrong, fine, there's no second date. But kind of like what you said, all right, if we let someone over for the night, fine. But at the same time, that's not the same as them moving in with you.
Yeah,
And at the
yeah.
end of the day, like,
Has
I
to
don't,
escalate. That's the
yeah,
thing. It has to escalate. Like there's no ifs and buts or whether. There's that the classic guy has this dream, and there's a chick that you can just date eternally. Well, I mean, at least I have that kind of dream, but I know it's not real.
right.
It's like it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna find someone, or maybe I will, but it's very rare, I guess. Like someone that would just be okay with casual dating for years on end, because she's gonna get told by others that, hey, how come you're not settling, what's going on with you, blah blah blah,
Right.
and
It's a
the
lot of
pressure is
social
gonna get
pressure.
to
Yeah.
me. Not to her. She's gonna divert that pressure on me, and then I'm gonna be like, hey, this is what I want. You can hang out for years on end, but this doesn't have a wedding at the end of it or anything like that. So
That kind of goes back to a point that I made on a previous episode is that, and I can't say like I'm not guilty of it, I have been in the past, is that a lot of us have this mindset or this worldview that we think the way we see the world is the way everyone else should see it. And we
right.
know everyone has different opinions, but that we think, oh, they need to think more like us and they'll be right.
or
So,
or or, or even to just kind of assume that the things that are important to you are important to them,
right, because that's
right?
what everyone thinks is that, oh, if you're single, you must get lonely all the time. And that's not necessarily the case. I will
Mhm.
admit there will be times here and there I might feel lonely, so okay,
Yeah,
go
like
out to the
everyone else.
bar, go talk to people, go to an open mic,
Yeah,
socialize.
call your
And
friends, or yeah,
yeah, and
or
then
go
by
meet
the
someone. Go meet someone If you want to, if you want to, if you
If
don't,
you
if
want.
you don't.
I know a lot of people who do end up getting in relationships or who do get married, and almost all the time the reason is, well, I didn't want to be alone forever, or I had to find someone. And it all depends on who your circle of friends is. If it's other people who are in relationships, same thing with like being married and having kids. There's certain people that are like, well, hey, I'm going to have a kid soon, and then I was like, I would kind of know. Maybe like I could tell they weren't well off financially, and I didn't know if it was a good time for them. Of course, I'm not going to say that, but I was kind of thinking it that, maybe you'd want to give it a couple of years to where, you're kind of more in a better condition to provide for that kid. But their main reason for having kids was, well, everyone else I know or I'm close to has kids. I've got to catch up to them.
Yeah.
So when it comes to reasons like that, if you want to get married, you want to have kids, or just be in a relationship, do it for you. Do it because it feels good to you, because your life is better with that other person. And like a lot of people tell me, if they just give me the whole reason, like, well, you got to find somebody or you'll be alone forever, I'm like, I don't care. Because the way I see it is that I'm not here to like go out and just try to find somebody because like, hey, I've got to fit in with the rest of the people in my circle. No, if for any reason I got in a relationship, it's because it just happened out of nowhere. If I meet someone and we connect, we go out on a few dates and it works out, great. But I'm not going to go out looking for that. That will have to find me. I'm not going out. I'm not searching for them.
And that's the thing is like another thing is that I have this kind of opinion that my generation, basically my generation more than the ones before, but even some before mine, I would say not the boomers as much, like my dad and that kind of age. We were very feminized as kids, boys. Right. I think boys are.
Oh yeah. No, I was too. It was unintentional and accidental, but it happened.
But because of that, okay, so let's say you go to a coffee shop, right? And there's a group of girls talking amongst themselves, like next to your table or whatever. Right. So you got to hear what they're saying, right? What are they mostly talking about when you hear them? Do you hear, like, if you listen to girls talking to each other, what do they usually talk about?
Well, first of all, I don't really hang out much at coffee shops, but when I do,
it's just an example.
Yeah, if I do, I'm not going there to talk to girls. Like, the only times I went to a coffee shop was to go there and edit an episode of this show. So I was there with my earbuds in. I was not talking to anybody.
Okay. Well, let's just say you're at a line for the bank. I mean, something like that. Just a random spot, or at the grocery shop, whatever.
Yeah. And you want me to eavesdrop?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you hear what they're talking about because they're right there. I mean, just like you can't. But just in general, what do they usually talk about? Well, they usually talk about relationships. They talk about their boyfriends or their husbands or their significant others. It's usually what they're talking about, right? So it's very important to them. Like it's something that's like on their mind all the time. Okay. And so we've been kind of indoctrinated, or whatever you want to call it, as young men or boys.
Right.
That's important to us too. And it's true. For some, it is. Like I know, for example, one of my buddies when we were growing up, when we were like 17, he was like, I want to get married and I want to have kids. And you're like 17, bro. What are you talking about? I was like, I don't want to do that shit. And we kind of went our ways. He has 4 kids now, different wives. He's with none of them, but he's got 4 different kids from 4 different chicks.
He's probably paying a lot of child support.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know if he's on another level of other things, but whatever the case is, like he knew he wanted that when he was 17, and
like he wanted it, or he got pressured into it.
No, he wanted it.
Okay.
No, he wanted it. Like I don't know why. Like that's why it was kind of weird to me that he wanted it, because we were just 17, having a good time, partying. He was actually really good with chicks as well. He always had a pretty girlfriend, and he would actually trade girlfriends. Like he would break up with one to go out with another one. Like he was that guy.
Kind of like Charlie Sheen on 2.5 Men.
I guess, yeah. I mean, and we were just kids, it's like, it was easy to talk to girls or whatever, but 17, 18, 19, 20, he would just say, I want to get married. And then by the time he was like 21, he got married to this chick, that he'd been dating. And then before that, he'd been dating another chick. So he was more like, he liked having relationships with girls and stuff, and like getting really committed to them, and being kind of around them all the time. Whereas I did never saw that as a cool thing. Like I obviously like chicks and wanted to be like him. Oh, I want to date cute chicks, and I did a lot of the chicks I did date was through him. Like he would literally hook me up with his friends' girlfriends, and sometimes he would hook me up with his ex-girlfriends. It was like he didn't care, he would like literally set me up with his exes. So and that was cool. But in any case, I knew I didn't want that for me. Like I didn't want to be with a chick all the time, going here with her, having to be with her all the time. Like that to me was like, no, like I'd rather just do my thing and do whatever I want to do, and don't have to make plans for two. I just want to make plans for myself. What I was saying about the feminized kind of childhood that we had is that we consider those things very important to the average guy. That's why everybody gives you crap. It's like, why don't you have someone? But because they assume it's important to you. They assume that it's something you want.
Yeah.
And some of us don't want it. We want the physical part. I mean, that's understandable.
Once again, Charlie Sheen, 2.5 Men.
Yeah, that's my point, man. Don't let those people get you down, man. Like you do your thing, man.
Oh yeah,
that's cool. Earlier you were talking about how you were feeling like you're missing out, or you missed out in some of your life.
Oh yeah, that was just from like going to college and stuff.
Right, but what I would say, that's a good thing that you feel that, because now you get to kind of take more advantage of your time now. See, a lot of people don't figure that out until they're very old.
I wish I could have taken advantage of my time then and not have lost those years.
Yeah, but now you get to kind of redeem yourself. You're not that old yet, so it's good.
Well, I do feel old, I will tell you that. Long story short, just because we feel a certain way about things doesn't mean everyone else should feel that way. Just because I'm single or I'm fine with staying that way, I know a lot of people aren't that way. And part of it also has to do with being more introverted. Like, I don't mind going out and socializing with people at times, but at the end of the day, I just want to go home by myself. And there are other people who are the opposite. They're extroverted. And if you are an extrovert, sure, I do encourage you to be in a relationship. A lot of times it's good for them. I know people who are doing really well, who are very happy in their relationships, but then I also know people who got into them through social pressure, and I can tell they won't admit it, but they're miserable. I can tell you 90% chance that if I got into a relationship, it would be through social pressure, and I would hate it. And I'd be like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. And everyone's like, well, just because it didn't work out for those guys doesn't mean it won't work out for you. And I'm like, yeah, but the odds are not in my favor, so it's not worth the gamble.
Yeah, there's not much benefit you get in today's day and age from that kind of...
There really isn't. And that's the thing. It just almost feels like there's really not much of a return on your investment.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you do get to tell those people, oh, yeah, I do have a girlfriend. That's what you get, I have a girlfriend. I have someone.
Depends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. What do you guys like? Then the thing is, like, your social life increases because now you have someone. So now you're invited everywhere. So
I don't see it as a way of doing it for bragging rights. Sure.
No, but that's what you get. I'm not saying you would do it for that.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean, if you get a supermodel, if you are dating someone like a supermodel, sure, guys are going to envy you, but don't rub it in their face. Wait for them to find out and just be humble about it.
Just get a really hot escort and pretend she's your girlfriend.
Oh, that happens a lot in Las Vegas, probably more than you think. All right. Well, this has definitely been an interesting conversation today. Definitely probably something we could build up more on, because, I mean, there's no one else to get dating advice from than two single guys, right?
Yeah, we know exactly what we're talking about when it comes to relationships.
That's right. We're single for a reason.
Cool, Napoleon. Nice catching up. I'll see you on the next one, huh?
Absolutely. See you next time on the Napoleon and Gueco podcast.
Peace.
Peace. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe so you are always notified when we produce new content on this channel, and I will see you in the next video.